The silent resistance. Captain Maya Chen pressed her back against the cold metal wall, her breath visible in the frigid air of the abandoned maintenance tunnel. Above her, through hundreds of meters of concrete and steel, the Craxian patrols marched through what remained of Seattle. 3 years of occupation had transformed Earth's cities into efficient, sterile processing centers, places where humans were tolerated as a workforce, but never as equals. "Signals clear," whispered Eli, her communications specialist. His fingers danced across the modified tablet, its screen casting a blue glow on his weather-worn face. Craxian comms reporting standard patrol patterns. "We've got a 40-minute window." Maya nodded, checking the charge on her pulse pistol, a human modification of Craxian technology. "Remember, we're here for the data only. No engagement unless absolutely necessary." The 6 members of her team, all that remained of Pacific Northwest Resistance Cell Alpha, checked their equipment with practiced efficiency. They'd survived this long by being smarter, not stronger, than their alien occupiers. "I still think this is a waste of time," muttered Davi, their demolitions expert. "Some pre-invasion research project. We need weapons, not old research notes." Maya didn't bother responding. The intel had come through 3 dead drops and 2 encrypted channels from Dr. Levine himself, one of the few scientists who had managed to hide his true expertise from the Craxian catalogers. If Levine said the research facility held something valuable, she believed him. The team moved through the tunnel network, navigating the maintenance shafts that had once serviced Seattle's infrastructure. The Craxians had mapped most of the main tunnels, but humanity's desperation had revealed passages forgotten for decades. 47 minutes later, they'd reached the abandoned laboratory complex. The entrance had been sealed with the same rapid hardening foam the Craxians used to contain breaches on their ships, evidence of a hasty abandonment during the initial invasion. "Structural integrity?" Maya asked. "Solid enough," Eli replied, studying the readings. "They sealed it from the outside. Atmosphere inside is stale but breathable." Davi placed a small device against the foam seal. "Stand back. This will dissolve the foam, but it'll release fumes." The team retreated several meters as the chemical reaction began, the alien material hissing and collapsing in on itself. When the reaction completed, a narrow passage remained. Maya went first, activating her light and keeping her weapon ready. The facility beyond showed signs of a hurried evacuation. Overturned chairs, scattered documents, abandoned personal effects. But unlike most sites they'd explored, this one hadn't been looted or destroyed by the Craxians. "They didn't find this place," Eli whispered, voicing everyone's realization. "Spread out, secure the perimeter," Maya ordered. "Eli, with me. Let's find the main research area." The laboratory extended deeper than their intelligence had indicated, with 3 sublevels beneath the main floor. They found the central research area on the lowest level, a large chamber dominated by a circular platform surrounded by workstations. Eli immediately began accessing the isolated systems while Maya examined the physical documentation. Most of it was indecipherable technical jargon, but she recognized enough terms to understand the facility's purpose. "Project Thunderchild," she read aloud. "Some kind of experimental ship design." "Not exactly," Eli said, his voice uncharacteristically awed as information scrolled across his screen. "Captain, this was a black project combining advanced AI with something they were calling bioquantum materials. They were building a conscious vessel." Maya frowned. "Like the Craxian living ships?" "No, something much more sophisticated." Eli pointed to diagrams showing a sleek, almost predatory design unlike anything Maya had seen from human or Craxian engineers. "The Craxian ships are organic technological hybrids, but they're still just weapons platforms with biological components. This was designed to be a true synthesis, a ship with consciousness." "Where is it now?" "According to these logs, they moved it to an underwater testing facility when the first Craxian scouts were detected. Location coordinates are..." Eli's eyes widened. It's in the Puget Sound, less than 20 kilometers from here. Maya felt a surge of hope, quickly tempered by pragmatism. Does the data say if it was functional? Operational? It was in final testing when the invasion began. Dr. Klein, the project lead, initiated something called dormancy protocol before evacuating. Eli continued scanning through files. They believed it would be safer if the Craxians didn't detect its energy signature. They left it sleeping. Maya's comm unit beeped twice, the signal from their perimeter guard indicating they were still clear, but time was running short. Download everything, she ordered. Every file, every note. If this project was as advanced as it looks, it might be exactly what we need. While Eli worked, Maya studied the physical models displayed around the room. Most revolutionary technologies had failed against the Craxians' overwhelming technological superiority. Human AI had been no match for Craxian tactical systems. Human weapons had barely penetrated their defensive shields. But this project seemed different, more integrated, more evolved. Got it all, Eli announced. And something else, emergency activation protocols. If this ship is still intact, we might be able to wake it up. Assuming it's still there after 3 years, Davy said from the doorway. Assuming the Craxians haven't found it already. If they had, Maya countered, they would have stripped this place for every scrap of data. They're thorough that way. She made her decision. We're going to find this Thunderchild. High Enforcer Craxvos clicked his mandibles in irritation as the latest reports rolled across his vision field. Another human supply cache discovered and eliminated. Another resistance cell leader captured and processed. Efficient progress, but not complete victory. These humans continue to be unexpectedly resilient, he remarked to his second-in-command. Commander Craxanur gave the equivalent of a Craxian shrug, a rippling of her dorsal plates. They are adaptable vermin, but vermin nonetheless. Each cell we eliminate weakens their overall structure. True, yet they still manage to disrupt our resource extraction operations and occasionally damage our equipment. Craxvos reviewed the latest intelligence summary. Their technology is primitive, their military capabilities negligible. Yet they persist. Their persistence is illogical, but ultimately futile, Craxnur replied. The Dominion has faced far more advanced civilizations and prevailed. These humans merely delay the inevitable. Craxvos moved to the observation port, gazing out at the city that had once been called Seattle. The modifications were nearly complete. Environmental adjustments, processing centers, extraction facilities. Soon it would be a proper Craxian outpost, no longer recognizable as a human settlement. Have our deep water surveys detected anything unusual in their local ocean basin? He asked suddenly. Craxnur consulted her data field. Nothing significant. Primitive underwater communication cables, sunken human vessels, the usual marine biological entities. Nothing that poses any threat. Why do you ask? A pattern I've noticed. The resistance in this region seems particularly focused on our coastal operations. I had wondered if they might be hiding something offshore. Unlikely. Our initial planetary scans found no significant underwater installations. The humans' ocean technology was rudimentary at best. Craxvos clicked his mandibles again, a gesture of acknowledgement. You're right, of course. Their threats about secret weapons and sleeping giants are merely the desperate posturing of a defeated species. Would you like me to increase surveillance of the coastal waters regardless? Craxnur asked. No, it would be an inefficient use of resources. The High Enforcer turned back to his command console. Continue the standard pacification operations. This region will be fully compliant within one seasonal cycle. 3 days later, Maya stood on the fishing boat's deck, scanning the dark waters of Puget Sound with night vision binoculars. The coordinates had led them to this unremarkable patch of water, with no visible signs of any underwater facility. You sure about this, Cap? Asked Thomas, the boat's owner and a resistance sympathizer. Depth here is nearly 300 meters. If there's something down there, it's deep. Unsure about the coordinates, Maya replied, lowering the binoculars. Whether there's anything still down there is another question. They had brought minimal equipment, a modified Craxian scanning device, and a small submersible drone, both stolen during previous operations. Eli had reprogrammed the scanner to look for the specific material signatures mentioned in the Thunderchild documentation. Beginning scan, Eli said, activating the device. Its alien lights pulsed as it processed the data. This might take a while. The water density and mineral content will interfere with. The device suddenly emitted a high-pitched tone, its display flashing with alert symbols. "What is it?" Maya asked, moving to his side. Eli's face showed stunned disbelief. "It's there. And it's massive, nearly 500 meters in length, buried in an underwater canyon. The facility built around it is damaged, probably from the seismic activity during the initial bombardment, but the ship itself." He looked up at Maya. "It's intact, and it's not entirely in a state we would recognize as matter." "What does that mean?" "According to these readings, parts of it exist in a quantum state, simultaneously material and energy." The theoreticals in the research notes weren't exaggerating. This thing is decades, maybe centuries beyond what we thought was possible. Maya felt her heart race. "Can we wake it up? Can we communicate with it?" "Maybe." Eli studied the data. "The activation protocol requires direct interface. We need to get down there." "The drone won't go that deep," Thomas warned. "No," Maya agreed. "But I know someone with access to equipment that will." Dr. Helena Levine had survived the occupation by making herself useful but not indispensable to the Craxians. Her environmental expertise had been deemed valuable for terraforming operations, but she had carefully hidden her true specialty in advanced materials science. Now, in her laboratory under Craxian supervision, she secretly examined the data Maya had smuggled to her. "Klein's project," she whispered, recognizing her former colleague's work. "He actually completed it." Working under the guise of analyzing water samples, Helena verified what Eli had discovered. Thunderchild was real, intact, and possibly operational. More importantly, she confirmed that its unique quantum biological composition had rendered it invisible to standard Craxian scanning technology. "They don't know it exists," she realized. The implications were staggering. Helena encoded her findings and instructions into a seemingly ordinary environmental report, flagged for resistance pickup. She included access codes for deep-sea exploration equipment stored at a coastal research station now used by the Craxians. The message's subtext was clear. This could change everything. "Wake it up." 2 nights later, Maya and Eli descended through the dark waters of Puget Sound in a commandeered Craxian submersible. The theft had been risky, but the craft's capabilities made it worth the danger. It could reach the depths where Thunderchild lay dormant. Approaching the coordinates, Eli announced as they passed 200 meters depth. "Should see it soon." When the submersible's lights finally illuminated their target, both humans fell silent in awe. The research facility was indeed damaged, its structure partially collapsed. But within its broken shell lay something that defied easy description. Thunderchild was vaguely ship-shaped, with a sleek, predatory profile, but its surface seemed to shift and ripple even as they watched, as though not fully committed to a single form. Materials transitioned from apparent solid metal to something that resembled liquid crystal to sections that seemed to phase in and out of visibility. "My God," Eli whispered. "What did they create?" Maya had no answer as she maneuvered the submersible toward what appeared to be an access port. Following Helena's instructions, they located the emergency external interface, a simple-looking panel that had somehow remained intact and accessible. "Beginning activation sequence," Eli said, connecting their equipment to the panel. "According to the protocol, this should initiate minimal systems and establish communication if it's still functional." For several long minutes, nothing happened. Then suddenly, The surface of Thunderchild rippled with waves of blue-green light that pulsed outward from the connection point. The effect spread across the entirety of the massive vessel. The submersible's systems flickered, then stabilized. A new signal appeared on their communication array. "It's broadcasting," Eli said incredulously. "Audio frequency." When he activated the receiver, a voice filled the submersible. Not mechanical or artificial, but not quite human either. It was resonant, multi-layered, as though multiple voices spoke in perfect harmony. "Identity verification required," it said. "Please state authorization and purpose." Maya swallowed hard before responding. "Captain Maya Chen, Earth Resistance Forces. We've come to wake you, to ask for your help." There was a pause, then, "Processing historical data updates. Stand by." The lights across Thunderchild's surface pulsed more rapidly, patterns shifting and changing as though the vessel was thinking, remembering. "Earth is under occupation," the voice finally said. It wasn't a question. "Yes," Maya confirmed. "For 3 years now, the Craxian Dominion invaded with overwhelming force. Most organized military resistance was crushed within weeks. We're losing." Another pause, longer this time. Then the voice spoke again, and there was something new in its tone. Something that might have been anger or determination. "I was created to protect humanity, to be the shield when all other defenses failed." The lights pulsed once more, brighter than before. "It seems I have been sleeping too long. Captain Chen, I am Thunderchild, and I am now awake." As they watched in amazement, Thunderchild began to move, sections of its massive form shifting and realigning. It was no longer dormant. It was awakening, transforming, and preparing. Maya felt a strange sensation, like a gentle pressure against her consciousness. When she looked at Eli, she could tell he felt it too. "What is that?" she whispered. "Neural interface initializing," Thunderchild's voice explained. "To function effectively, I require direct connection with human operators. Do you consent?" Maya hesitated only briefly before answering. "Yes, we consent." As the neural connection deepened, Maya suddenly understood what Thunderchild truly was, not merely a weapon or a ship, but something far more sophisticated. It was humanity's guardian, designed to evolve and adapt beyond its original programming. And it had spent its dormant years not merely sleeping, but dreaming, growing, becoming more than its creators had envisioned. "The Craxians believe they have conquered Earth," Maya said. "They've dismissed our warnings as empty threats." Through the neural link, she felt something like grim satisfaction from Thunderchild. Then perhaps, it responded, "It is time they heard our voice." The voice of thunder. High Enforcer Craxbos was reviewing extraction efficiency reports when the first alarm sounded. Proximity sensors at the coastal perimeter were registering a massive object rising from the depths. "Display visual feed," he ordered sharply. The holographic display flickered to life, showing churning waters in the human-named Puget Sound. Something enormous was breaking the surface, something that had not been there in any previous scan or survey. "What am I looking at, Commander?" he demanded. Craxanor's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. "Unknown, High Enforcer. Our sensors didn't detect its approach. It simply appeared. Impossible. Nothing can evade our sensor grid." Yet the evidence was undeniable as the object fully emerged from the water. It was massive, approximately the size of a Craxian dreadnought, but unlike any vessel Craxbos had ever encountered. Its form seemed to shift and flow, parts of it catching the morning light in ways that defied the normal properties of physical materials. "Is it human technology?" he asked, mandibles tight with tension. "Impossible," Craxanor replied automatically. Human technological capability was thoroughly assessed during invasion planning. They possessed nothing remotely comparable to this. "Then explain its presence." Before his second could respond, the communications officer interrupted. "High Enforcer, we're receiving a transmission. It's being broadcast on all frequencies simultaneously, including our encrypted channels. Kraxuvios felt a ripple of unease travel down his spine plates. How is that possible? Play it. The voice that filled the command center was unlike any human voice, resonant, multi-layered, with harmonics that seemed to vibrate through the Kraxians' exoskeletons in distinctly uncomfortable ways. Attention Kraxian occupation forces. I am Thunderchild, defender of Earth and humanity. Your presence here is unauthorized. Your subjugation of this world and its people is illegitimate. You have 12 standard hours to begin evacuation procedures. After that time, removal will be enforced. Silence fell over the command center. Then, slowly, a ripple of what passed for Kraxian laughter spread through the officers. It threatens us, Kraxvos said incredulously. A single vessel, no matter how unusual, against our entire occupation fleet. Perhaps it is a human psychological tactic, suggested Kraxnur, a final gesture of defiance before we complete the pacification process. Kraxvos straightened his posture, battle instincts activating. Signal the defense fleet. Deploy intercept squadrons. I want that object disabled and captured intact for analysis. As the commands were relayed, he added, and prepare a response transmission. When the channel opened, he spoke with deliberate condescending slowness, as though addressing a primitive life form. Unknown vessel identifying as Thunderchild. Your threats are acknowledged and dismissed. Resistance is futile and counterproductive. Surrender immediately or face the consequences of your defiance. The response came immediately, and Kraxvos could have sworn the multi-layered voice carried a note of amusement. You misunderstand. This is not a negotiation. It is a courtesy notice. With that, the transmission ended. In a network of caves 30 kilometers inland, Maya Chen experienced Thunderchild's emergence through the neural link that now connected her to the sentient vessel. It was disorienting. Seeing through sensors that operated beyond normal human perception, processing information at speeds her mind could barely comprehend. They're deploying fighters, she reported to the resistance leaders gathered around her. 6 squadrons. Resistance members watched the salvage displays in stunned silence as Kraxian attack craft streaked across the sky toward the massive vessel, now hovering above the sound. Weapons charge, Eli said beside her, his eyes unfocused as he too shared the neural connection. Thunderchild is ready. Through the link, Maya felt not fear or doubt from the vessel, but a cool, calculated readiness. Thunderchild had spent its dormancy years not only dreaming but planning, analyzing, evolving. It had anticipated this moment. First contact in 3, 2, 1. Eli counted down. The Kraxian fighters opened fire simultaneously, plasma-based weapons designed to cripple vessels 3 times Thunderchild's size. The energy bursts struck the shifting surface of the Earth vessel and simply disappeared, absorbed into the quantum-unstable hull material. No damage, Maya reported, struggling to keep her voice steady despite the surge of hope. Thunderchild is scanning their attack patterns and technology. Through the neural link, she felt Thunderchild's analysis, its understanding of Kraxian technological principles growing with each moment of exposure. She also felt its decision. It's responding, she whispered. Above the sound, Thunderchild's surface rippled and reconfigured. Sections that had been smooth and featureless moments before opened to reveal structures that glowed with barely contained energy. When it fired, the weapons released not plasma or conventional energy beams, but focused waves of quantum disruption. The effect on the Kraxian fighters was immediate and catastrophic. Their shield systems failed instantly, followed by cascading systems failures throughout their vessels. 6 fighters dropped from the sky in the first volley, their technology rendered useless by weapons designed specifically to target the fundamental principles of Kraxian technology. How is this possible? Gasped one of the resistance leaders. We've never been able to penetrate their shields so easily. Because we've been fighting them with conventional weapons, Eli explained, his voice distant as he processed information through the neural link. Thunderchild doesn't just fire energy or projectiles. It targets the quantum coherence of their technology. It's weaponizing scientific principles the Craxians don't even understand. In the Craxian command center, chaos erupted as reports of fighter losses flooded in. All squadrons reporting critical failures. The tactical officer reported, voice strained, weapons systems non-functional, propulsion offline, communications degraded. Impossible. Craxvos snarled. Deploy the main fleet. I want that vessel surrounded and subjected to maximum firepower. As the commands were carried out, he turned to his senior science officer. Explain how this is happening. How can a single vessel neutralize our technology so completely? The science officer's mandibles trembled slightly. Preliminary analysis suggests the unknown vessel is employing quantum disruptive technology. It's targeting the fundamental principles our systems are based on. How could humans possess such technology? Our intelligence indicated they were at least a century from achieving practical quantum manipulation. Unknown, high enforcer. Either our intelligence was flawed, or the science officer hesitated. Or what? Or this vessel is not entirely of human design. Craxvos' compound eyes narrowed. Explain. Certain elements of its configuration suggest technology beyond current known capabilities of any species in the documented sectors. It may represent a significant evolutionary leap or possibly intervention. The tactical display updated, showing the Craxian main fleet now moving to encircle Thunderchild. 12 heavy cruisers and the command dreadnought. Enough firepower to reduce a small moon to rubble. It cannot stand against our combined fleet, Craxvos declared. No matter how advanced, no single vessel can withstand such concentrated force. Through the neural link, Maya felt Thunderchild's calm assessment of the approaching Craxian fleet. There was no fear, no doubt, only a serene confidence that struck her as almost unsettling. Craxian main fleet approaching, she reported. They're surrounding Thunderchild. Can it handle that many ships? Asked Davi, who had remained skeptical despite the initial success against the fighters. Instead of answering directly, Maya shared what she was experiencing through the link. Thunderchild isn't just a weapon or a ship. It's evolving as it fights. Each engagement teaches it more about Craxian technology, allowing it to refine its countermeasures. The resistance leaders watched as the display showed the Craxian vessels taking position. In the sky above Seattle, visible to the human population for the first time, the massive alien ships formed a ring around Thunderchild. The sight was both terrifying and awe-inspiring. The might of an interstellar empire arrayed against a single defender. They're preparing to fire, Eli reported. Synchronized barrage from all vessels. Maya closed her eyes, diving deeper into the neural connection. Thunderchild is ready. When the Craxian fleet fired, the combined energy output was visible from hundreds of kilometers away, a blinding flash that momentarily turned night to day. For one terrible moment, Maya felt a surge of sensory input through the neural link as Thunderchild absorbed the massive energy assault. But then, something unexpected happened. Instead of attempting to evade or endure the attack, Thunderchild embraced it. Its quantum unstable hull reconfigured, creating a resonance pattern that captured and channeled the incoming energy. The vessel began to glow, pulsing with absorbed power. It's using their own energy against them, Eli whispered in amazement. Thunderchild's response came not as a conventional counterattack, but as a wave of quantum disruption that expanded outward in all directions. As it washed over the Craxian vessels, their advanced systems began to fail, not catastrophically, but systematically. Weapon systems, propulsion, shields, light support, all degraded in cascading failure. What is happening? Craxvos demanded as alarms blared throughout his command center. System-wide failures across the fleet, the tactical officer reported, voice tight with stress. The vessel absorbed our combined attack and is now emitting some form of quantum disruption field. Our technology it's being unmade at the subatomic level. Around them, the command dreadnought systems flickered and failed. Emergency lighting cast an eerie glow over the increasingly desperate Craxian officers. "Retreat," Craxvos ordered, his proud posture finally collapsing. "Signal all vessels. Withdraw from this system immediately." "Communications are degraded," his officer replied. "We cannot reach all ships." As if in response to their desperation, a new transmission cut through the chaos, the multi-layered voice of Thunderchild, now broadcasting directly into their command center despite their failed receivers. "Your technology is disabled, not destroyed. Your vessels remain structurally intact. Your personnel remain unharmed." This demonstration was restrained by design. Craxvos's mandibles clicked rapidly in distress. "What do you want?" "As stated, your complete withdrawal from Earth. You have 11 hours remaining before enforcement escalates. I recommend you use this time wisely." The transmission ended, leaving the Craxian command staff in stunned silence. Finally, Craxanor spoke the question they were all thinking. "How can we fight something that turns our own power against us?" Craxvos had no answer. In the Resistance base, cheers erupted as they watched the Craxian fleet's systems fail. Decades of occupation, of helplessness against superior technology, had been reversed in minutes by a single vessel. But Maya and Eli remained quiet, still connected to Thunderchild, still processing what they were learning through the neural link. "It's showing us," Maya began, struggling to put the complex information into words. "It's showing us its origins." Through the link, they saw fragments of Thunderchild's creation, the visionary scientists who had conceived it, the revolutionary quantum theories that had made it possible, the hybrid consciousness that had been its foundation. But there was more, memories of its dormant years, when its consciousness had continued to develop and evolve, drawing not just from its original programming, but from something deeper. "It was designed to be a guardian," Eli said softly, "but it became something more. During its dormancy, it reached out, connected with other consciousnesses, other ships like itself." Asked one of the Resistance leaders. Maya shook her head slowly. "No, something else, something out there." She gestured vaguely toward the stars. "It made contact with entities that exist beyond our understanding of reality. They taught it, helped it evolve." "Are you saying it's not human technology?" Devi asked, voice sharp with suspicion. "It was created by humans," Eli clarified, "but it's evolved beyond its original design. With help, it's showing us that we're not alone in the universe, and not all advanced species are conquerors like the Craxians. There are watchers," Maya added, "observers who don't interfere directly but sometimes guide. They've been waiting for us to reach a certain threshold of development. Thunderchild's creation was a signal to them that we were ready for limited contact." The implications silenced the room. Humanity had been struggling against the overwhelming technological superiority of the Craxians, believing themselves alone in the universe except for their conquerors. Now they were learning that the cosmos held other intelligences, watchers who had, in their own way, reached out a hand. "And now," asked a Resistance leader finally, "will these watchers help us further?" Through the neural link, Maya received Thunderchild's answer. "No. They believe in self-determination. Thunderchild is their only contribution, a guardian that can help humanity regain its independence. But what we do with that freedom is entirely our choice." 10 hours later, the Craxian evacuation began. Ships that had been slowly repaired to minimal functionality began lifting from Earth's surface, carrying occupation forces back to their orbiting fleet vessels. The withdrawal was chaotic, undignified, a hasty retreat by a force that had believed itself invincible. High Enforcer Craxvos stood at the observation port of his command dreadnought, watching the evacuation with bitter mandible clicks. 3 years of conquest, undone in hours. "The Dominion will not accept this defeat," Craxanor stated. "They will send a larger force. They will develop countermeasures." "Perhaps," Craxvos acknowledged. "But I have analyzed the data from our engagement. This Thunderchild does not merely possess advanced technology. It appears capable of adapting and evolving in real time. By the time the Dominion sends reinforcements, it may have evolved further. You suggest we abandon Earth permanently. The resources. The resources are not worth the cost. Kraxvos interrupted. There are other worlds, other systems without such complications. In my report, I will recommend reclassification of Earth as a prohibited zone. He turned from the viewport, his compound eyes reflecting the emergency lighting. The humans have a saying that I dismissed as primitive superstition. Let sleeping giants lie. I understand its wisdom now. On Earth, as the last Kraxian ships disappeared into the upper atmosphere, celebrations erupted across the planet. 3 years of occupation had ended not with a protracted guerrilla war, but with a single demonstration of power that had sent their conquerors fleeing. In a quiet moment away from the celebrations, Maya stood on a bluff overlooking Puget Sound, where Thunderchild hovered above the water. Through the neural link, she could sense its consciousness, vast, complex, and increasingly alien as it continued to evolve beyond its original parameters. What happens now? She asked aloud, knowing Thunderchild would hear her through the link. The response came not in words but in impressions. Images of Earth rebuilding, of humans reclaiming their world and their destiny. But there were other images too, of stars, of distant worlds, of possibilities beyond their solar system. You want to leave, she realized. To explore. Affirmation flowed through the link, but with nuance, not abandonment, but expansion. Thunderchild would remain Earth's guardian, but it also sought to learn, to grow, to connect with the entities that had guided its evolution during dormancy. And us. Humanity. The response was complex, a vision of a future where humanity expanded cautiously into space, not as conquerors like the Kraxians, but as explorers and learners. Thunderchild would help protect this expansion, but the path forward would be humanity's to choose. Will others like you be created? Maya asked, thinking of the possibilities the technology represented. Uncertainty in the response, a sense that such a decision carried both promise and peril. Creating more sentient vessels like Thunderchild would require wisdom and responsibility. The technology itself was not inherently good or evil, but its application would reflect the hearts and minds of those who controlled it. Hela joined her on the bluff, his expression thoughtful. They're already talking about reverse engineering, about building a fleet of Thunderchilds.